Yes, fuck white veganism, but why do you guys keep bringing them up? How come every single time we try to have the conversation about veganism, reducing your consumption of meat and dairy, the animal agricultural industry, the exploitation of animals, the destruction of the environment because of the animal agricultural industry, you guys want to bring up white vegans? You guys claim to hate them. You claim that they're giving veganism a bad name and that they don't represent all vegans. Okay, so stop bringing them up. Why do you guys keep centering their voices when there are black, brown, indigenous vegans out there? There are Asian vegans. There are vegans all over the world. You guys do realize that a lot of vegan foods come from Asia, South America, Africa. There are poor vegans, there are disabled vegans, there are chronically ill vegans. Like, all of these excuses that people make for not going vegan because of these reasons. Okay, there are vegans out there that check all of those boxes and they share their resources. They share what they do. There are vegans who live in food deserts. Like, why don't you guys center those voices? If you actually care this much about the environment, if you care about animal exploitation, if you care about the harms of the animal agricultural industry, center the voices that you want to listen to and stop talking about white vegans. And please stop using indigenous people as a shield for why you don't want to go vegetarian, vegan, or just even reduce your meat and dairy intake. Y'all love to say, well, veganism is anti-indigenous when there are indigenous vegans out there. And last time I checked, it wasn't indigenous people that owns these big farms and corporations. It's not indigenous people that are factory farming, that are mass breeding animals, that are artificially inseminating female cows and separating them from their calves. It's not indigenous people that are tearing down the Amazon rainforest to make room for cattle farming and soy production for the livestock. If anything, it's the meat and dairy industry that is anti-indigenous. Not only because they're the ones that are using up land, water, emitting greenhouse gases into the ozone layer, exploiting and abusing their workers that are mostly black, brown, indigenous, and immigrants, but their treatment of the animals, mass breeding the animals, forcing them into cramped, dirty areas, artificially inseminating the female cows and separating them from their calves so that they don't drink their mother's milk. How is that an indigenous practice? Indigenous people don't do that. Y'all love to say indigenous people have a strong relationship to the land and the animals, and we care for the animals, and we use all parts of the animals. Okay, but your meat is not coming from that. Your dairy is not coming from that.
Thank you.
You're getting your meat and dairy from a grocery store, from a corporation owned by white billionaires. And these factory farms waste so much. They produce so much waste. They don't use all parts of the animal. They don't treat the animals with respect. But, like, y'all don't want to think about that. And indigenous people are not a fucking monolith. Why do you guys bring up indigenous people? You're not indigenous. You don't support indigenous farmers. You don't support indigenous hunters. And not every indigenous person eats meat. And again, fuck white vegans. They're all the way over there. Who cares about what they have to say? Vegans, like the actual animal rights movement, the end of exploitation, they don't give a fuck about what indigenous people do. They're not talking about them. They're not talking about indigenous people who have to hunt because they don't live by grocery stores or because of, the environment that they're in. No one is talking about them. And again, you guys love to center white vegans so bad. We are talking about the people who eat meat and dairy for every single meal, every single day of the week. Those who have the means to go vegetarian, vegan, reduce their meat and dairy intake, but don't. If you have access to a grocery store, if you have access to rice, beans, lentils, bananas, potatoes, frozen fruits and vegetables, any of these things that are way cheaper than meat and dairy, you can go vegetarian, vegan, reduce your meat and dairy intake. Y'all don't want to because it's inconvenient for you, and I need y'all to be more honest about that. You like the taste of meat and dairy more than you care about the environment, more than you care about the animals. There was even a video of someone saying that, there's rice, beans, lentils, and stuff in the grocery store, but no one wants to eat that. No one wants to eat that. So again, it's just convenience for you guys. It's just all about taste and not because you actually care about the environment and the animals, or because you care about indigenous people or poor people or disabled people. So just stop making excuses and just be honest.